So you spent days editing your picture. You have it looking absolutely fantastic, just what you want it to look like. You've done everything that we recommend here at Fotospeed. You click print and it comes out looking different from the screen. Absolutely infuriating. Well, let me explain some reasons why this could be happening. Well, hello and welcome to this Fotospeed video with me, Tim Jones. Today we are going to look at the reasons that could be affecting why your print doesn't look like your screen when it comes out of your printer. There's a few things, I'd say 4 or 5 things that can affect this. So it's really important we just bear these in mind. Some of it's a little bit of expectation management, but some of it is quite technical, so we can allow for it and make adjustments. But before we dive into any of that, as always, don't forget to subscribe to the Fotospeed YouTube channel. Just click that subscribe button in the bottom right. It really helps us if you do. Also give us a big thumbs up as well. And also click the bell icon, because then you will never miss a video from us. You will get a notification of when we drop a new video every Thursday. Also, don't forget to sign up to the Fotospeed newsletter for exclusive discounts and all the lovely news from us here at Fotospeed. Just click the link in the description below and it will take you to the sign up form and you can sign up straight away. I've also put a link below to the free ebook from us here at Fotospeed. I am sure most of you have already read it, but the link is there and it's absolutely free. It covers absolutely everything from framing, mounting, bookmaking, paper choice, rendering intents and all the lovely things, profiling, color management, and absolutely everything in between. So well worth a read if you want a little bit of a refresher or you are just getting into printing. So that's a little bit of housekeeping out of the way. That's the boring bits. Let's find out why your prints won't match your screen. So first things, let's just start by a little bit of a recap of things we need to get in place first. Then I call these the foundations. So first of all, we need to get kind of the calibration side of things in place. So this includes the screen. We need to calibrate the screen with either a data color calibrator or the Calibrite calibrators. Those are the ones we sell here at Fotospeed. Again, links below to them. Now, this will bring the colors in line for you on your screen. Most screens out of the factory are probably set up for gaming, viewing movies, etc. So we need to just change the colors just a little bit. Sometimes it's not a lot and sometimes it is. Some screens have self-calibration in, absolutely fantastic, but beware of the matte calibrations. It might be also worth still doing a screen calibration as well, just to check everything and bring everything back in place for you. The other thing we need to do is we need to profile the printer as well. So exactly the same as we calibrated the screen, we need to calibrate our printer as well, and we need to profile it. Now, this is a free service we offer here at Fotospeed. And basically what that will do is exactly the same as the screen. It will bring how the printer prints back in line to a set standard or standardized color, shall we say, set out by the International Color Consortium, which stands for ICC, which is why both of these profiles, the screen profile and the printer profile, are both called ICC profiles. We can help you with any of this process as well. The calibration is absolutely fine on the screen. The software is really good, actually. It's really step by step. But as I said, it's a completely free service we offer to actually do the paper profiles for you, because you will need a separate profile for each of the papers coming out of your printer, because they each interpret the ink slightly differently, and then hopefully that should just uniform things as well. But there are a few things. Once we've done this and we've kind of calibrated our screen, calibrated our printer, I always say we should be getting about 90% of the way there, maybe 85, 90, that kind of mark anyway. And it should be only subtle changes perhaps when it comes out of the printer. It shouldn't be, oh, the sky was this lovely blue, like in this picture here on the table, and when it comes out it's green. There's probably something else going on there. So still come out blue, but there may be just a slight difference here, as you can probably see between a matte paper and a luster on the table here. So that really brings me to kind of my first point really, and how we can allow for, and like I said at the start, allow and manage expectation a little bit on that 10% that's left. Because like I said, we should be getting 90% of the way there. So we've got that 10%, which sometimes could be called that dark art of printing, which could probably cause us a little bit of frustration and a little bit of kind of stress. And also could be using a lot of ink because we're doing a lot of test prints and a lot of paper and things like that. But if we kind of hopefully know kind of what can change and what's going on, then we can manage our expectation a little bit and learn to look at the print and not really compare to the screen as such. So I hinted at it there when I was talking, but my first point is really the paper. The paper is going to make a dramatic difference between screen and the print. So if you're printing on, say, a luster or gloss like I've got here, these two here. Now I've printed the same picture on 4 papers, 4 different styles of paper to kind of demonstrate this. And I've used a picture from one of our ambassadors, Alex Hare. I'll put his website down below. Absolutely fantastic photographer, does amazing bookmaking workshops as well. So well worth having a look, and also does photo tours and things like that. Fabulous. Have a look at his work, have a look at the workshops he provides as well. Absolutely brilliant. Now, this one's called Dreamland, as you may have guessed, because of the big sign in it. Now, I've printed this one on a gloss at the top here, which is lovely and shiny. And I would have a guess that this print would match a lovely glossy screen, like an iMac or something like that, or a Dell perhaps that's got a glossy screen, really well. Also the luster as well, it's going to hold that contrast, it's going to hold the punch for you. Hopefully it's going to hold those colours as well, because we've got profiles made for these. So that's one thing. These prints are going to match the screen a little bit better because they've got that gloss or semi-gloss type of finish. This also includes the baryta paper as well. Not the baryta matte, because I'm going to talk about matte papers in a second, but the platinum baryta or the platinum gloss art fiber or legacy, they should all kind of match the screen pretty well. The legacy might change a little bit because of the warmth of the paper as well, so it might warm up a little bit. Another thing just to think about with your paper, the white of the base, that is probably going to reflect the screen a little bit better of what you're getting as well. So you should get a little bit more punch with a gloss, semi-gloss, baryta, anything with a bit of a sheen type of paper. Now, if I compare these 2 prints here to a couple of prints I've made on a matte paper here, which is our Art Smooth, a duo paper. Now I've done 2 because of a very good reason. It's going to bring me on to a point a little bit later. But as you can see here, there is quite a drop off in kind of contrast, a little bit of the punch here. Not a lot, but if we compare this to the screen, then there's probably going to be quite a dramatic kind of, it look a little bit dull, to be honest. However, if you look at the print on its own, it looks great. I mean, if we frame this, mount it, it would look absolutely fantastic. No one would ever know. But if we compare it, say, to the gloss here, then it has lost a little bit of that impact, should we say. However, still looks absolutely fantastic. And that is one of the big things that some people phone me up about and ask and say, oh, you've recommended this lovely matte paper, but everything's coming out looking really horrible and dull compared to my screen. Well, you've probably got a nice glossy screen, and with all the will in the world, a matte paper is never going to get close to a glossy screen because it's a glossy screen. A glossy paper is going to get close to a glossy screen. But even if you've got like a BenQ or ISO, they kind of have a matte, but I think it's more like a satiny kind of feel to it, then there's still a little bit of fall off. So that's probably expectation management a little bit. Matte papers also have a smaller gamut as well, so you're probably not going to get those big vibrant colours on them as well. However, if you don't compare to the screen and you look at it, then they look absolutely fantastic. Again, the white point of the paper will affect things as well. Just be aware of that as well, and a little bit of expectation management. The profile should allow a little bit for it. However, if you've got a nice border around like I have here, this will be warm, and that will also affect how your eye interprets the rest of the picture and such. So just bear that in mind. Now, as we were talking about screens, it leads me on to my second point, I suppose, that the screen can affect how things look. Like I said, if you've got a lovely glossy screen, then it's going to match kind of glossy luster type of papers a little bit more. If you've got, say, a BenQ or an ISO, they're probably going to have a wider color gamut, so you're probably going to see more of the image and the colors available to you. Now, this doesn't mean your printer will be able to print them though, because that really is down to the number of inks in your printer and the printer's own color gamut. So we always recommend to set, if you can on your screen, set your color space of your software and also your screen, if you've got a posh kind of a BenQ or ISO screen, to Adobe 1998, because in most cases with these new modern printers with the 10 and 12 inks, that is probably the closest color space to your actual printer's color gamut that it can actually print. So always worth going into your settings and just making sure you're on that as well. Another thing to be wary of, and probably a third point, is if there is any gamut mismatches between what your printer can produce and what your screen can see. So if you've got quite a high-end screen that can display full Adobe 1998, but you've only got, say, a 6-ink printer, there is going to be a slight difference. There are going to be colors possibly within, especially this picture here with the fluorescence and things, that possibly the printer won't be able to produce, like the pinks and things in this picture, because of the limited colors available. It can only mix those 6 colors so many ways. I normally see a little bit of fall off with kind of 6-ink printed in shadows and possibly use a little bit of detail in highlights. So the shadows can get a little bit blocked. So we might lose a little bit of detail in kind of these windows along the top here on the right-hand side, possibly. But that's normally where I see it. But also colors could change. And if your printer can't produce a certain color, your software will make a guess, I suppose, or an educated guess on how these colors should be produced and try and get the closest color it can to the color you actually desire. Now this is called rendering intent. Now this is why I've printed these 2 pictures here. I'll just put these to the side. And one of these is printed on perceptual rendering, a rendering intent called perceptual, which gives nice punchy colors and basically compresses the color space into your printer's available colors it can actually produce. So if we've got Adobe RGB, which is absolutely huge, it's going to be compressed into your printer's color space that could be quite small if you've only got, say, 4 inks in your printer even, or 6. However, you'll be surprised. You can produce a lot of colors with 6 inks, especially if it's got a gray as well, because it can mix those and give some really great results. Now, these prints here were made on the Epson P700, which has got 10 inks. It's also got a violet ink and things. And I printed this picture on perceptual, which is at the top here, and then also relative colorimetric, which is at the bottom here, which are the 2 we recommend to use. I would say 80% of people use relative colorimetric because it gives probably the closest match possibly to those colors. Perceptual can sometimes push and compress and change colors a little bit. Perceptual is usually used on the printer's own black and white mode as well, so it keeps nice gradients. There's no stepping or anything as well, just out of interest. Now, possibly I could see a little bit of change just in the sky at the top here. Very, very slight. I've lost possibly a little bit here. Not too sure if it's just my overhead light or something, just kind of a little bit here. There's not loads of difference. I would say now with these printers with loads of inks, they can produce a lot of colors, and you can produce some really vivid, wild colors as well. So it's getting less in what we're actually seeing difference-wise. If I'd done this between like a 4-ink printer then and the P700, then I'd possibly see a little bit more. But it could also see that most of the colors are actually in gamut here. Now I kind of picked this one because it's got these fluorescent pinks and bright vivid neons and things in it to try and fool the printer and try and get some different results. I have to say though, hats off to Epson. It's done quite a good job, to be honest, and maybe I should possibly pick a different printer to demonstrate it, but it has done a fantastic job. So that is also something that could change. It's going to change quite subtly as well, and the argument is if your eye can see it. Now you can test for this in soft proofing, and you can put on gamut warnings within the software, and it will highlight areas that were possibly out of color gamut. However, it doesn't tell you how much it's going to change it by. It could be like 0.110 or something other percent, and is your eye ever going to see that? Your brain and eyes are probably going to fill in the gaps anyway, and you probably won't notice. But it's another thing that could change how prints look as well. Also, another really important, probably my last point to be honest, is get a really good viewing light. I've got a lovely daylight light over the top of me here, like a video light. Hopefully it's coming out all right anyway. But you can get Archizer viewing lights, which are fantastic, or just take your prints to some really good daylight. If you're printing in a room and you've got, say, the lights on in an evening, everything will probably look a bit yellow because it's tungsten. It could, even if you've got daylight tubes, they could be a little bit dull, so the print comes out and you just think, oh, it's just a little bit dull and it's just not really got a lot of life to it. Because some papers do have what's called optical brighteners in, and they do need a certain amount of light to activate those brightening agents in there. So you need to shine quite a bit of light on in some cases to actually make them activate, so they come out nice and white, and also then your picture will become a little bit more kind of light, and then also your picture will gain a little bit of more life, shall we say. So just bear that in mind. If you are printing in the evening, which most of us do if we work in the day and things, then just have a look at it first thing in the morning or something. Just sit on it overnight before you kind of run through loads and loads of paper as well. Just sit on it, look at it in some good light. Perhaps you've got one of our viewing lights, or you've got a light like I have over the top here that you could view it under and think, actually, when I get some decent light on it, that looks pretty good as well. Another little bonus point, shall I say, also going back to kind of leaving a print and having a look at it, don't make a snap decision. Now, a few months ago, I told a story about one of our ambassadors telling everyone to take that first impression and say, never come back to the screen and then start going, oh yeah, but I want to do this, I want to do that. When it comes out of the printer, you'll pretty much know if there's anything you want to do to it or if it looks great. Now, saying that, I would say probably sit with a work print for a little while as well, especially if you're unsure of the shot or unsure of the angle you've used or the crop or something like that. Perhaps you just pin it on your wall and you leave it there for a few days and you keep coming back and looking at it while you're working on something else. And you may think, oh, actually, if I just crop into square or I do something like this and then put it next to it, and then you live with the print and let it breathe a little bit, and actually the shot as well within the print, then you may have some different ideas and some different kind of thoughts about how it should print and if you need to do anything to the colors and things like that. So those are my points really about that little 10%. So those really are my points to try and explain that 10% and that dark art of printing. Sometimes it can be a little bit hit or miss in very rare cases, but do some little tests to find out what rendering intent does for you. Have some little tests about if I print it on a gloss, it looks like this. If it's on a matte, it looks like that. Just so you've got some reference points as well. So again, you can manage those expectations a little bit, because the printers are a mechanical device, so they are going to have their limitations to a point as well. But I hope that's been useful. And I hope it gives you better prints as well. If you've got any questions, please just let us know. Put them in the comments below or send us an email at Fotospeed. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to the Fotospeed YouTube channel and also sign up to our newsletter on photospeed.com and download the free ebook from us, The Art of Printing. Links are below in the description, so make sure you do that. And also don't forget we release new videos every Thursday here on the Fotospeed YouTube channel. So I will see you next week. Bye-bye.